Guess what arrived? In the middle of an amazingly tumultuous week, this arrived. A parcel from England. Now, if this is what I think it is, I will finally be able to control the new train. Ooh. Let's see, shall we? Let's see what's inside. Hopefully it will be the computer chips that are needed to make the new train run. Hello. My name is Ian Currey and this is Thinking Out Loud. Come on, let me tell you what I think. Hello. Thank you all for watching these videos. I enjoy making them and hearing your comments. Thank you. It really helps if you subscribe and pass them on to your friends. Go ahead and copy the video link and send it on its way. That way, more people can enjoy watching. Please make use of the videos in any way you can and let me know if you're watching and what you think. I know the trains are interesting to at least some of you, so I try to include those whenever I can, but trains are not all I spend my time doing, and sometimes I'm thinking about other things too. But trains do occupy some of my spare time. Recently, I introduced a London Underground train to the railway, and soon I hope to show you an unusual train my grandfather used to work on. You'll have to be patient and wait and see what that is, though. You'll never guess what it is, I'm quite sure. I've enjoyed looking at this lovely underground train for a week or two now. But now it's time to make it work and get it integrated into the rest of the railway. It may be nice to look at, but that's not what it's designed to do. The special control chips arrived. Now the trick is to put them into the train without breaking any of the delicate parts. Getting the train apart is the first trick. These days they are so delicate and aren't at all like they were when I was a boy. Back then you could be rough with them without fearing the consequences. These days trains like these are designed to take these special control chips, so it's really not as hard to do as it used to be for some of the other trains on the railway. Some of those other trains were made before computers were ever thought of, or at least were thought of to be useful for anything other than scientists and bankers. A number of you have asked, well, why I even need to put computer chips inside my trains? Why can't you just play with them like we used to as kids? Well, the answer to that is I like to merge my hobbies. I love trains for sure, but I also like to keep my background in electronic engineering ticking over, and I build things that work alongside the trains. Because of the system I've used to control the trains, without the clever computer chips inside them, they would just take off running in all directions when I put power on the track, and then they'd crash into each other and make an awful mess. That would never do. In a way, before the trains are able to do what they are designed to do and run nicely alongside each other, I have to take away their freedom and add some control. Perhaps not a great illustration, but let's take a look at freedom and what it really means. Now, we all have an idea of what freedom is, but let's make sure we're talking about the same thing before we go any further. My dictionary says, freedom, the power or right to act or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. Oh, now that sounds like fun, doesn't it? The thinking part I enjoy every day, but that other part, acting without hindrance or restraint, that sounds like it could get us into all sorts of trouble. It's been quite a week, hasn't it? I've been listening to my friends say all sorts of things and depending on where they're from and their particular point of view, I've heard a lot of grumbling and a lot of blaming. Some have even been blaming God. I think the most common theme, though, seems to be someone needs to do something. But do what? And who? Who could have seen that coming? Why doesn't God do something? It's just not right. And these thoughts can apply to so many situations in so many places. In a strange way, though, this is exactly what freedom without constraint brings. Someone doing whatever they want without hindrance or restraint. After all, if I can do as I like, why shouldn't I just take things from my neighbours? Why shouldn't I take off and go wherever I want to and do whatever I like? Of course, just that's so much silliness, isn't it? Human beings need to live together, and instead of the survival of the fittest being the way, the fittest need to be looking out for the weakest. Of course, blaming God for the actions of evil people is easy. After all, shouldn't God just step in and smack evil people and let us all live in peace? It's clearly not God's fault when people choose to do things that hurt others. His ideal of having free will to choose between good and evil is part of what makes us human. God, while designing us to be free, also has some clear words that seem to suggest the limits of freedom. Knowing the difference between right and wrong and caring for one another. Peter, one of Jesus' followers, writes, "It is God's will that your honorable lives should silence those ignorant people who make foolish accusations against you. For you are free, yet you are God's slaves. So don't use your freedom as an excuse to do evil. Respect everyone." You would think that this would be common sense, wouldn't you? Don't hurt people. Don't do evil things. And love your neighbour. But all these good things rely on submitting to God's ideas of good and evil, right and wrong. And without those in place, we could indeed just do as we please without hindrance or restraint. There are so many examples of how freedom is God's idea and yet must be held under some sort of control, or everything goes into a terrible mess very easily and very quickly. When Paul wrote his letter to his Galatian friends, he said, "For you have been called to live in freedom, my brothers and sisters. But don't use your freedom to satisfy your sinful nature. Instead, use your freedom to serve one another in love." And then that very famous saying comes in the next sentence. For the whole law can be summed up in this one command: love your neighbour as yourself. So while we may be free to do as we please, yielding to that version of the golden rule, love your neighbour as yourself, seems to remove the without restraint part of the freedom definition, doesn't it? My toy trains seem very unimportant in the grand scheme of things, but nonetheless, applying the life principles I learn, making trains function nicely together, and taking control in ways that prevent things from going badly wrong, caring for others, and looking after that train on the next track that just wants to take off and do its own thing, might be an example of how living together in peace and harmony may mean giving up just a little bit of our own personal freedom for the good of others. As we enjoy our lives, our families and our hobbies, let's remember that freedom comes with responsibility. Freedom can only exist for all when we serve one another, when we love our neighbour and look out for the weakest around us, the helpless and the oppressed. Well, just like we've been instructed to do by the best example of all, Jesus. Until next time, goodbye.